Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Sever7, and today we are checking out the Oz Roosevelt XL, and that's with the ultimate goal of seeing if this is worth adding to your collection or your daily carry rotation. Now, this was sent in by friends of the channel, Wyvern Kodiak. I'm going to have their YouTube channel linked in the description. Definitely check those guys out. They've got some really exciting stuff coming down the pipeline. Now, this was designed by Daniel Osborne of Oz Machine Company, and this was OEM'd in Indiana by Oz Machine Company. Very small shop, small batch, USA made. You already know what it is, so let's jump into it. So we've got this beautiful purple haze carbon fiber for the front scale, and it looks delicious. I love the big gray splotches that offset the purple and the black. I mean, just look at it. Absolutely stunning. And then we have a black titanium backside, deep carry milled titanium pocket clip. It's tight, but it's smooth, so it goes in and out of the pocket very easy. We have just kind of plain Jane hardware, nothing too crazy. And that's about it. There isn't a ton going on. We do have a 1/3 backspacer that wraps all the way down. No spot for a lanyard hole, which is fine. I don't think that many people are losing sleep over it. And look at the amount of blade that they crammed in there. So much so that they needed the backspacer to wrap all the way around, because if it wasn't there, I'd poke myself. Like, that's how much blade they crammed in there. Excellent work. Now let's talk about the ergonomics. The ergonomics on this are done to perfection. You've got so much room to choke up, so much comfort. Quite easily one of the most comfortable knives I've ever worked with. So I'm easily seating within these two little grooves. I have large size hands, but I could just as easily park back here if I so chose to, or I can choke right back up. I can hammer fist it if I want to. That's what she said. And I mean, these contoured scales are so comfortable. I'm going to be real with you guys. This is one of those knives that you're not going to get the full picture by watching a review. This is one of those knives that you have to go to a knife show and get in hand to really understand the value that this thing is bringing to the table, because it is an experience. This is not just a knife. This is a whole experience. Am I being dramatic? No. No. If you get this in hand, you're going to really like it. I guarantee it. I don't guarantee it. You might be a weird person who doesn't like it, and that's fine. That's okay. Moving over to the blade, we've got this, it's a drop point, but it's a big bellied drop point. We have a really handsome swedge right up here just to give it some attitude. We've got this iconic flicking hole that everyone knows Oz Machine to be known for. We have functional jimping, but it's not that toothy fine jimping. So like, you can push into it, but it kind of hurts a little bit. It's not the greatest feeling jimping. I probably wouldn't rely on it a whole lot. It's cool looking though. I even like how they have the jimping milled out on the carbon fiber too. Looks pretty neat. This is a full flat grind with CPM Magna Cut for the blade steel. So that's going to be, I mean, it's Magna Cut, so it's got excellent toughness, edge retention. It's stainless. MagnaCut is really well balanced overall. Let's talk about this action. Oh, and this is number 766. The blade is completely sterile of any designs or logos or markings, but whenever you open it or close it, you can see the 766 there, and you can see it right here. So as far as the action goes, this is going to be where this knife really excels. So that is delightful. So I've told you guys how I measure action. I drop it to the 6 o'clock, and then I rotate from the 3 o'clock to the 9 o'clock. And if the knife closes by, around the 8 or 9 o'clock, then it's not too tight and it's not too loose, and the action is about as perfect as it can be for that given knife. So here we are, we're at the 6 o'clock. I'm going to rotate from the 3 o'clock to the 9 o'clock to the 9 o'clock. There we go. Okay. Try that one more time. 6 o'clock. It does it so good sometimes, but then every now and again, there we go. Oh, we have to get it 2 more times just to make sure it's not a fluke. There we go. Money. Did I encourage it 1 or 2 times? Yeah, I did. Okay. But it's pretty darn perfect. So the reverse flick is money. Thumb flick is money. Acoustics are incredible. You heard the action going out. Listen to the disengage. Fantastic. And then the drop. So it's like a trifecta of sounds. We've got, and yeah. Detent is fantastic. It's a tall blade, but it just rockets out effortlessly. I could get lost if I were just given this knife and nothing else to do for a day. I could flick this for the entire day and still be irritated if I had to put the knife away. Like this thing's actually a very expensive fidget toy that happens to have a blade and can cut things really, really good too. That's why I say it's kind of an experience. Look at this. Look, this, see this? Effortless. Can I do it like this though? Can I do it like, hold on. Okay, let me just, okay, so I can do that. Can I do this though? Yes, thank you. Okay, that wasn't easy and it wasn't comfortable on the side of my finger because these are big jimps. Definitely just use your thumb. Definitely just use your thumb. Use your thumb. There we go. But yeah, action-wise, this thing is an absolute delight. Let's jump into a couple of specs. So overall, this is coming in at 8.5 inches. We have 3.75 inches of blade length. Overall, a 0.79 inch blade to handle ratio. A weight of 5.2 ounces. And let's do some size comparisons up against the milled aluminum Civivi Brazen. Third best Civivi ever made next to the Visions. And we're coming in about a whole, half an inch. Yeah, about half an inch bigger than the Brazen. We're coming in a whole, about 2 inches bigger than the Real Steel Sylph. And the budget knife of the year, the Migron Gotov. It's like every other video, I call it Gotov or Takov. I just keep getting it mixed up. And we are, I'd say, about 2.5, yeah, 2.5 inches bigger than the Gotov. So this is definitely a little more than a full-size knife, right? 8.5 inches. We're starting to approach that big boy territory, right? This is not an office carry. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not something you whip out because somebody needs you to open their letter. I mean, you can. It will do that. That's just, you know, you're making a pretty loud statement for opening a letter, though. You know, I mean, this thing is meant. It's wild to say, but this thing is meant for hard use. Don't try to pick a lock with it, right? Don't try to, you know, pop the cap off your beer bottle, right? Don't none of that crazy stuff. And I've said this in some other videos, but truly, if I had to cut boxes for 8 hours, I'd grab the Dixon. But if I had to cut for 18 hours, I'd grab the Rosie. Because this thing is so thin and slicey. It's actually kind of insane. This knife really blends like handcrafted artistry with, you know, Magna Cut. And I mean, it's just, this is truly, truly, truly a work of art in every sense of the term. This one's a little hard for me. I could call this a daily carry, but it would be like Rob's Nerdy Knives daily carry, right? Where I had definitely had like, okay, so I would carry this with the McNeese Dixon, and the Dixon would handle all the upfront like brutish tasks. Not that this can't handle it, but I want to keep this sucker pristine. And then I would use my like light tasks for, you know, I would use this for those lighter tasks like opening a box or something. But what's the price on this bad boy, right? That's the big question. Big knife. You already know it's American made. You already know it's small shop. You already know, small batch, whatever. This one in particular, with the purple haze carbon fiber, this specific variant comes in at like $1,155. Let that sink in for a moment. $1,155. Now, is it worth that price? Well, there's a few things to consider. One, we already know the rundown. American made. Super small batch. Like, you don't really see Rosies in retail stores. You see Koenigs, you see Dixons, you see the Max, you see Hinderers, but you don't really see, at least not that I found, Oz Rosies in retail shops. And that's because they're actually hyper small batch. I don't know if these are quite considered custom still, or if they're like a machine assisted custom, but they're definitely a step closer to custom than like a Dixon would be. That's going to add to the cost. But also, since they aren't producing these things in large batches, that's going to add to the cost too, right? Because there's more hands-on, from an individual person, and they're a small team, right? They're a super small team. It's not like they've got 20 employees, and they're fine-tuning and making sure everything goes out the door just perfect, and the tolerances on this are ridiculous. I mean, it's absolutely insane. So yeah, we've got, is there markup? Yeah, definitely there's markup. I mean, they have to make a profit. That way they can keep pumping out knives. $1,155 is a lot of money. And there's more variables here than I could quantify. So I will say, you can get an amazing knife for $100 that will let you beat the tar out of it. You step up to $500, you can get a really good freaking knife for $500. Have I felt anything this good? It's hard to say, but probably not. This is probably the most holistic piece of cutlery that I've handled as far as the fit, finish, action, specs. It's going to be subjective if it's worth $1,155 to you. For me personally, I would take probably a milled titanium one, which I think those come in closer to like $900. I would say, yep, that's worth it. But that's more my taste. This is gorgeous, but it's not necessarily my specific taste. I'd rather have plain titanium with milling. And I do believe those come around $900. I would pay that all day long and say, yes, it's worth it. I think my only hang up is, is the Purple Haze carbon fiber worth the extra, $255 or whatever the cost difference is between the plain tie and this. And I would say for me, not personally, but it's taste, right? There's somebody that this is perfect for, and that somebody bought the knife and was kind enough to send it to me to check out. So, but I mean, yeah, at this point, you can get an amazing knife that will do everything you want for half the price and hold up about as well as this would. Is it going to have the same tolerances, the same fit and finish, the same action, the hydraulics? No, probably not. But, if you're sitting at home doing math, like how does that cost that much? Just assume that like $700 is materials, a few bucks goes to being American made, a few bucks goes towards, small batch. And then there's like $300 floating around. And I promise you that is in how this knife feels in hand. That $300 that you're trying to find when you do your mental math, yeah, that is the fact that this is far greater than the sum of its parts. That's what the $300 is. The $300 is the feeling you get whenever you pick this thing up and you start fidgeting with it. When you get it in hand and you really feel those ergonomics, whenever you slice your first box with it, that's where that extra $300 is coming in. That's the experience part that you're missing out on because you're watching me talk about it. And I'm doing a poor job of relaying the information to you. But this thing's incredible. And I would, if you're already in this price range, if you're looking at $1,000, $1,200 knives, if you're in that premium range, I would feel very confident in saying before you buy anything, go check out a Rosie. And if you don't like this one, they have smaller ones, maybe not that small, but they got smaller ones, just the normal Rosie. So I would say this would be a daily carry for me, with 90% of its time being fidget, and then 10% of its time being light box cutting, paper cutting, things like that. Maybe a little harder than that after I owned it for a while. But what would it be for you though? And this one, it's expensive, but there's plenty of people that hard use their Rosies. So is this a collection piece, or is this going to be something that, is your ride or die? Goes everywhere with you. I was going to insert some sort of like thing you shouldn't do with your knife, but it ran out too quickly. It's wasted. I have no idea. I didn't come up with anything fast enough. But yeah, let me know down in the comments. If you found this video helpful, useful, entertaining, please hit the like button. Also, do not forget to subscribe. And until the next time, guys, peace.